It's morning. It's still morning in Nevada. So good afternoon. I am all that other stuff. I'm really Pat Spearman, and I just want to take a few minutes to talk about what it means for a woman to serve in the military. And a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have stayed the same. You know, I was listening to my sister MP talk about going through the MP Corps and the men didn't want you. Well, when I went through, at Fort McClellan, I was the only African American, so I thought, in the class. There were 7 women, and after they shut the wax down, then there are the 7 women that were with me. We were the first 7 to go into the military police as an automatic branch, instead of going to the WAC Corps and then being detailed to. And I remember, you know, the instructor, the very first day, the instructor walked all the way around the room, and it was probably about twice this size. We had about 75 people in the room. And he walked all the way around the room talking about, oh, well, this course is going to do this, and it's going to do that, and everything. And he said, and I want you to look around the room. And everybody's looking around the room. He said, yeah. And so when we get to graduation, he said, some people are going to be here. And he looked at me and said, and some people are not. And I looked at my buddy Jerome, and I said, oh, he ain't talking about me. He ain't talking about me. You know, see, because I'm somebody that believes, I don't care what you call me, it only matters what I answer to, all right? So he ain't talking about me. They proceeded to, when I had to do like 10 push-ups before they call one. Sit-ups. And I don't know if you all remember the run, dodge, and jump. Seemed like something always happened to the stopwatch. And when I came in, you know, from the run, it was a mile then, now it's 2 miles. I was like, my goodness, how come y'all can't get the time right? But you know what? I believe that whatever doesn't break you will make you. And somebody kept telling me, said, you know, there are some things that people mean for evil, but God means for good. And so by the time I got to my first duty station, I was fit. I was fit. I mean, I'm going in, the only woman officer in a military police company in Korea. I was ready to go. You know, I mean, and some of my platoon members, they were like, oh, ma'am, you good. I said, yeah. And I looked back on the people that were at Fort McClellan that were trying to make me drop, and I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And so I'm saying that because when we serve because we want to. Not because we have to. And I say to people, anybody who served after they ended the draft went in for whatever reason, but we went in and we served. You know, I joined ROTC when I was a freshman in college, but I joined ROTC because they kept telling me we had to take a gym. And I was in the band, and I played drums, so I was on the drum line, okay? And they kept saying, you got to take a gym. I said, no, I don't. Well, and the lady that was filling out my course card, she said, yes, you do. I said, okay. And I said, so what else is left? She said, modern dance. I said, oh, no. Oh, no. I said, well, she said, well, you know, you go through the class, and at the end of the semester, you know, you put on a performance in front of the student body. I was like, not with these skinny legs. I ain't getting ready to do that. And the gentleman over there, he said, well, you can go to ROTC, and that counts as a gym. What is that? Well, ROTC. He said, just come on and join. So I signed up for it, and I liked it. I liked it. The first semester, the second semester, I liked it. I went into my sophomore, I liked it. And I got to be at the end of my sophomore year, you have to decide whether you're going to stay and accept a commission, or you're going to have to drop. I said, there are 5 jobs out there, and you got 5,000 people competing for them. I'm going to stay in. Because if I have to go in, I have to do 2 years, 6 months or so, I'll be in basic. Then I just got 18 months. I can do that standing on my head. But I went in and I liked it because it was something that was bigger than me. Something that was bigger than me. And you know what? And here's the thing, and I want to pay homage to the 6 888. Because no mail, low morale. But these were women who, on a dare, they can't do it, they can't do it. Send them over there, but they can't do it, they can't do it. And they went over on a mission, and they did it in half the time. And that ought to tell you something about our perseverance. What women really want to do, we will do. There are people talking about, well, maybe they can't serve. We don't think they should serve in combat. I said, too late. Too late. We're already doing it. Since the end of World War II, there have been 350,000 women who have served. And when we went to war in Iraq, there was a woman that was the first prisoner of war. And she endured that. We have women who have put their lives on the line. Somebody talked about, the 3-year-old. Well, I remember when I worked at the Pentagon, I was in the operations center, and I remember reading about this 18-year-old. All she wanted to do, she was 19, all she wanted to do was just go join the military. And her mother said she went into the military on deferred. Anyway, she went into the military. I'm getting excited. She went into the military. She signed up when she was in high school, and she went after she finished. So she said, her mother said, when she went to Iraq, her mother said she was really glad that she was going to be in logistics. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Her mother said she was glad she was going to be in logistics and supply. She said the last time she talked to her daughter, she was getting ready to go on a convoy. And she said, her daughter told her, said, Mom, these people over here don't like us. They don't like us. They don't even want us here. And she said, Mom, I don't think I'm going to make it home. I don't think I'm going to make it home. And her mother said, you're going to make it. The church is praying for you. We're all praying for you. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. A week went by and she hadn't heard from her daughter. And then the chaplain showed up to let her know that her daughter had been killed in an IED attack. Most people don't even know what that means, a IED, and it's some alphabets. And her mother said, when they brought the coffin back, she said, I didn't get my daughter. I got a bunch of body parts. So for people to tell us we can't serve, we done already did it. We've already done it. When you think about things like that, so many women, listen, we go where they tell us to go and we do what they tell us to do, as long as it's a lawful order. If it's unlawful, we ain't doing it. Yes. But we've already done it. And I know there's a move afoot in Congress to keep us in second-class citizenship and say, well, women shouldn't serve in these branches. Shouldn't. We've already done it. And guess what? We did it by being sexually harassed. We did it being sexually assaulted. I remember when I was in Panama and I was in 03 and my senior rater was in 06 and he called me into his office and I thought he wanted to really talk about, the mission that I was doing. And he called me into his office and put his hands under the table and started masturbating. And I'm standing there and I'm, Jesus. This is not happening. And he said, I want to bang your bones. I don't know what that means. He said, we're adults. You know what that means. No, I don't, sir. No, I don't, sir. Well, you think about it. I can be very helpful to your career. When I left his office, I went back to my office, and my office mate said to me, Pat, what's wrong with you? I said, I think I ate something at lunch. I'm not feeling good. I'm gonna go back to the hotel. They had the single officers staying at the hotel because they didn't have quarters for us. I went to the hotel. That was on a Wednesday. And I feel those of you who have gone through this, you know, you can feel the emotions that you felt when it happened. And that Saturday, he showed up at my hotel room, knocked on the door in civilian clothes. I was getting ready to say, who is it? And someone said, don't say nothing. And I went and I looked out, and my heart started racing. He stayed there all day long. He moved from one side of the hall to the other side of the hall. Then he went downstairs into the lobby. He's going to catch me when I'm coming in, I'm sure. And the housekeeper, when she got ready to leave, she said, bad man's still there. She said, come. She took me down the service elevator, and she let me out. The service elevator let me out on the dock where the trash was. And I ran to my car. And some of you all remember the song, you know, Digging a Scene, you know, with a gangster lean. I was with the gangster lean, but I wasn't trying to dig the scene. I was just trying to get out of there before he saw me. And I went to a friend's house. We were stationed at Fort Hood together, and I was shaking. And he said, what's the matter with you? I told him, and he said, oh, my God. And his wife said, girl, I know you getting ready to tell somebody. I said, no. She said, what? And her husband said, she can't. Because if she does, her career's over. Women served. I didn't say anything. I finished out my career, but I made sure to look for the perverts, because you could always spot them. And I'd watch who they were watching, and I'd get close to that person. And I'd make sure that person knew, you can talk to me. You can talk to me. I just talked to a mother 2 weeks ago who was in the UPS, and she had on a T-shirt, and it made me think, oh, she's got somebody in the service. And I walked over to her, and I said, hi, how you doing? You got someone? She said, my daughter. I said, wow. She said, she's just 20. I said, wow, okay. I said, I'm a veteran. She said, oh, okay. Where? I said, Army. She said, my daughter, too. I said, where is she? She said, she's in the Middle East. And I said, wow. She said she was supposed to come home this week. But she called us and told us that she'd been extended. What's going on in the Middle East right now? What's happening over there? Ain't no party.
Ain't no party.
She's supposed to come home, but she said they extended her. And about this time, she's shaking. And she's shaking so hard, I think she's going to fall down. So I just grabbed her elbow to steady her. And her husband came through the door, and he said, oh, yeah, my daughter. And he said, I don't know if she's going to be coming back. She said in 2 weeks, but we don't know that because they could extend her again. While Congress debates on whether or not we should be in combat, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. And people were being extended. And she said, I want my daughter to come back alive. The thought of her 20-year-old daughter being killed in the Middle East. Y'all ain't got to say amen, but let me say this. It's a war of choice because we didn't have to do it. But now you have men and women who are in combat. While these people in Congress are, well, I don't know whether they should be, well, you know, why don't you go over there and see what they're going through? I always tell people, say, you know, y'all so ready to go to war, you go. Yeah. And I had one elected person tell me, say, well, I'm too old. I said, you got kids? Yeah. You got grandkids? I said, let me tell you what I found out. I found out that combat boots come in the same sizes as Prada. And you want somebody to go, you go. Women are already there, and I will not accept anybody telling me that we're a second-class citizen and we don't deserve equal rights because we've already been in war. We've already done it. We've already served our country. We've done it. If you're a member of Congress or anybody tells you women shouldn't be in combat. You tell them you haven't heard the news. I remember when I was trying to get the ERA ratified in Nevada. We were the 36th state. And I had some of my colleagues to stand up and say, well, it's just a stunt. We don't need to do that. And, you know, women are already equal. I said, no, we're not. No, we're not. So somebody's wearing a tight pair of jeans and they get raped. You know who they blame? The woman in the tight jeans. See, no, we're not equal. We're not equal. But we're going to pass this. We're going to ratify this because we're going to make sure it gets into the Constitution. We are serving. We are being wounded. We are dying in combat, and yet we do not have equal rights. And Congress wants to say, you shouldn't do it. Well, boyfriend, guess what? We've already done it. We've already done it. I'm proud that I served, and I'm thankful for all of my sisters who served as well. Make no mistake about it. When it comes to making women second-class citizens, even if it doesn't look like it, you will find me on the firing line. I retired from the military, but I didn't retire from the fight because the struggle continues. Thank you.